I'm Christine Connor with Amelie Scott Designs. Please go to my website at ameliescott.com. That's AMELIESCOTT.com. I was told by my editing overlord that I don't need to say www. That's so 1980s. Anyway, so today I'm going to show you, this is the second half of the binding a small project. I want to show you how to do the back side. I've taught a lot of beginners, and unfortunately a lot of girls today don't learn how to do hand sewing, so they don't really know how to tack the binding to the back. So I'm going to show you how to do that today. So the reason everybody hates to hand sew, or I used to hate to hand sew, is trying to get this thread through this teeny tiny little eye of this needle. And you want a teeny tiny eye needle, a really thin needle, because they're a lot sharper and they go through the fabric. You don't want one of those big, huge, thick needles. So what I've done is I bought this little tool. It's put out by Clover, and it's a needle threader. And what you do is you take where the eye of the needle, and you drop it in the hole. The eye of the needle goes in the hole. Then you take your thread, and you pull off about 18-20 inches. In the back is a thread cutter. Cuts the thread, voila. And then you take the end that came off the thread, wrap it around, hold it gently, hit the little lever, and it threads your needle. How cool is that? Love this tool, put out by Clover. I don't get paid to endorse products, but Clover, if you want to pay me, you can. And then I take the end of the thread, I put the needle so that it lays on top of 3 fingers. I bring the end of the thread and I put it behind my needle. Kind of looks like a little cross. The needle's in front, thread's in back. Then I take this thread, and I wrap it around 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Pull it down a little bit so my fingernail, my thumbnail, can grab the knot. My fingers are inside this little loop here so that it doesn't get tangled. And I take my left hand and I just pull the needle up while I'm pulling the knot down with my thumb all the way to the end. When I get down here, obviously I need to move my fingers. And then I have this perfect little knot. Takes a little bit of practice, just if you want to stop and rewind and stop and rewind. I promise you that is the easiest way to do a knot for threading. It's a nice little knot. It will go through the fabric. It'll get caught in the binding. It's called a quilter's knot. Okay, so what I'm going to do, the other thing I have here are these, they're like little hair clips, and I use them, you can get them in quilt stores or craft stores, and I use them to hold my batting down. I made some with a little bit of, with a felt covering to them. As you can see with my embroidery machine, I digitized that because touching the metal hurts all the crowns in my teeth, so I padded mine. I might put that out on my website for free. Okay, so what I do is I fold my binding down. I start in the corner, and I actually come in between the layers and up into about right where my stitching on the my stitching's right here. I go on the left side of the stitching. I come up where my knot doesn't show, and right where my thread has come out, I'm going to move it over here in the light, right where the thread has come out, I'm going to put the needle right back into the backing and batting, and I'm going to go through the backing and batting up about 1/4 inch in front of my thread, and I'm going to bring the needle out into the fold. And I'm going to pull it. Okay. And again, the thread has come out. Right where the thread has come out, I'm going to put the needle right kind of underneath the fold, and I'm going to travel up through the backing and batting about 1/4 inch and come out again through the fold. That's like a little, that's actually how you hand applique. Thread comes out, needle goes right back in the same place and comes out through the fold. Okay, so I am at this place now where we have tucked the one end into that 45-degree angle to create that mitered, and you can see it's not stitched down. and it's very open all the way on both sides. So what I want to do is I want to stitch that down in place. So what I do is I'm going to do the same thing, only I'm going to change directions. I'm going to start back here and come up into the fold like such. Just one stitch. I'm going to do that again, same thing. I'm just kind of traveling up through the binding itself. I'm not really hitting the backing because I've got those 2 layers of binding. Okay, when I get up to the top, I'm going to kind of curl it around. I'm doing the same thing. The thread came out here. The needle's going right back in and coming up a little bit in front through the fold. I'm going to flip that over and let my camera person focus.
Camera focuses on its own now.
Okay, again, I've been corrected by my children. God, you gotta love having teenagers. Okay, so now I'm going to flip this around. Focus that. Ha ha ha. And I'm going to come right back down where the thread came out, and I'm just going to go back kind of in between my stitches. And that just kind of tacks it down in place. Yeah, it's a little bit tricky, but you get used to it.
Let's see what the backing is.
Coming back to. And that just gives it just that little bit more professional look.
Hey, pause for a second, stop moving because Sean's going to edit this out. You should flip it over and say, and by the way, this is our sheet mug.
I was just going to do that.
Okay.
Okay, so I get down to the bottom, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue stitching down up into the corner. By the way, look at that, isn't that adorable? This is our sheep mug rug. You can get it at our website. We have Irish set, we have winter set, and we have a spring set, and I think critters are going to be next. They're going to be really cute. So come check us out at our website. Okay, so you can see my thread is right here, and I'm really close. I'm about a half inch away from my corner. I want to create this mitered seam just like I have on the front. I have these really nice, professional looking mitered seams. We all want our work to look nice. So the way I get that, okay, here's my thread. The way I get this is I'm going to pull down kind of tight, and then I'm going to fold it up until my fold comes up, and then I make this nice little crease. I'm going to hold that with my finger so it doesn't slip out of place. I'm going to make that next stitch, and this one I'm going to come up into that folded, this long side, this side right here. I'm going to catch this folded part.
Shut up.
Okay, because then okay, so my string now, my thread now is in the upper, this part that folded over, and I'm going to make an extra little stitch right there, kind of like, a couple, 1 or 2 stitches, just to really lock it in place. Then I can turn the corner, and I'm going to continue the same thing. Thread came out here in the corner, I'm going to put the needle back in the corner. So needle went in with the thread, coming out in the fold, and then I'm going to just continue stitching just like I have been. In a minute I'm going to be out of thread, so I'm going to show you how to tie the knot. Okay, so we changed the view on you because my big fat hands are getting in the way of everything.
They're not big, they're just obtrusive.
Okay, my obtrusive hands are in the way. Okay, so I'm down now. I've got this about 6 inches of thread, so I want to tie this off into a little knot and then get some more thread to finish stitching. So what I do is I'm going to hold about 1 inch away from where the thread came out. I'm going to hold it tight. I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to wrap it around about 3 times. I'm going to pull the needle and I'm going to try and keep the knot as close to the binding as I can. Now, I don't know if you can see this or not. Let's see if Katie can get in, but right where the tip of my scissors are, That's where my knot ended up, all right? It's about 1/4 inch away from the binding, but that's okay because this is the cute little quilter's knot. So my knot is about 1/4 inch away, as you can see. I'm going to take one additional stitch. Sorry, camera person, daughter, I have to lift this up to do this. I'm going to pull, and I'm going to gently pull, and the knot actually went in through the backing fabric and got caught in between the layers of batting. So I'm going to cut that now because my knot is hidden in between these layers. When I start again, I always go back one stitch and start my new piece of thread one stitch back, just for security reasons. And that's it. That's how you bind. And that's it. That's how you do hand binding.
Look at that. Look at that sheep. Oh yeah. What does the fox say? Ning 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 ning
I
ning
got my
ning ning.
pictures ready for